I thank you very much for listening to the No Fruit Podcast. Today we have a special guest. He is the CEO of Sharpened Spirit Coaching. He is a 30-year seasoned entrepreneur. He is a best-selling author of Escape the Owner Prison, The Contractor's New Way to Scale, Regain Control, and Fast Track Growth While Loving Life. He's a speaker, a podcast host, but this is what we're going to talk about today. That he is a husband and a father of 6, a U.S. Marine, champion boxer, black belt, and an internationally recognized steel sculptor. So we're going to concentrate a little bit more on that 6 children piece because a lot of us, we don't understand that part. So right after the intro of the show, we'll be right back.
Let's talk about love and marriage the way that God intended. Life experience, here we share it. The No Fruit Podcast. Tune in from any platform. No Fruit Podcast. Will help your spirit transform.
We thank you. And I had just given this wonderful gentleman, this intro. For those of you who might remember, he was on my other show. So we did talk a little bit then. We didn't get too far into the weeds, but today we will, especially from this family perspective. So his name is Richard Walsh. Richard, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Guys, Maurice, Kay, thank you so much for having me. And I love that intro.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is awesome. That is an awesome intro. I'm jealous.
Fiverr. Like
To the rescue.
I know, right? So we, say a little part of your bio, but there's a part of your bio where it states where you were working, you were on top of your game, and then life hits like all of us, right? Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden you are trying to rebound, having a wife and 6 children. I believe the bio said under the age of 4, 6.
Yes.
Seemed like maybe 2.
4.
Yeah. So explain to us what that feeling might have been like at that moment.
Yeah. So 08, 09 hits and, financial collapse. I'm basically losing my business, lost that, losing our home. A lot of things went awry. I went from really being on top, best of what I did, to losing everything, basically kind of overnight, basically. I remember on November 5th, 2008, I lost $500,000 on that day. And that was the beginning of the cliff.
Wow.
And so it just wasn't going to work, right? Tried a lot of dumb things to keep it going, but it wasn't going to work. And now I have a family. I have a wife, 6 children, 4 years and younger. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to do what I was doing for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to navigate that. Okay, we're losing the home. So we relocated, moved across state lines, went to another state, and just started the rebuild process. And the challenge, Maurice and Kay, was really navigating what to do with 6 children.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you keep this going? And how do you, it's all new parents, right? And I know six kids doesn't make it sound like you're a new parents, but when it's 3.5 years and you get 6 kids, it's like being a new parent.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. It's a lot of kids. So, and I can tell you that whole story about how that happened, but, it really was like, well, how do you just navigate this to keep doing what we had planned?
Mm-hmm.
Because you know how you kind of lay things out, exactly how it's going to go, and that's what I'm always reminded, that no battle plan ever survives the first shot.
Right.
Right. Like you think you're going to do all this and it doesn't happen. So it was a little tricky, but we made it. I have a very strong wife who's just awesome, and our goal was to homeschool our children all the way through. From the beginning to out of high school and everything else. And we have achieved that. It's been awesome.
Wonderful.
But that early time was really challenging, really, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And I'm trying to figure it out. So I said, well, I love training people. I love doing fitness. I'm really good at it. I'm a boxer, black belt. So I went and started training at Anytime Fitness, became a personal trainer, kind of built their program. And then next thing you know, a year later, I'm trainer of the year for Anytime Fitness, So, as an entrepreneur, you know what that means, right? And I got to open my own gym now.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went and did that. So I built a gym, boot camp style training, built that up. And that was really great. Did it for about 5 years. And The great thing with the kids was all their birthday parties were there. It's just a big 3,000 square foot open space. There's some masks. I mean, it was really intense, body weight style training stuff. But the kids' birthday parties were the greatest. Nerf gun battles. I mean, it's just obstacle courses I created for them. All their friends get 50 kids there, 80 kids there. It was a lot of fun. And I remember my kids would sit with me while I'm doing like memberships, right? People talking to them. So they really got exposed to kind of the business life. Right. What does it actually look like? But at that time, I was really trying to recreate what I won't say recreate, but what I did the first 20 years, just take a step back real quick, was business was always first for me. It was everything. The awards, all the accolades, all the accomplishments, all the great things I built and did. Like I said, internationally recognized still sculptor, world-class exhibits. I'm building all this stuff. And I had an epiphany one day. I woke up, guys, and it was like, wait a minute. I started thinking, and the Lord truly gave me a window to the future here. Okay. I'm like, if I stay in this path now, everything's crumbling around me, right? Like I'm basically going to lose everything. I know this, but I'm like, if I stay on this path of business first, I'm actually going to ruin my kids' lives, their futures, because they're going to have broken marriages, failed relationships, right? They might be good at business, but everything else in their life is going to be trash because their priorities are all mixed up.
There's no focus there. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So I got out of bed, went in the office and said, we're done today. Went to my construction. I told my guys, we're wrapping it up this week. Let's finish these last projects and we're done. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to do this because I realized my identity was in my business. Without my shirt, my hat, the uniform, I didn't exist. I'm like, I can never do that again. So I even have a video of me burning my uniforms and everything.
Wow.
Right.
I'm like, I sold everything. And my friends were so bummed out because I wasn't going to do what I did. I was so good at it. It's like, you can't just not do this. I go, yes, I can. I'm really okay with not doing this because I'm an all or nothing guy. So I kind of I sold everything, got rid of everything. We moved, again, it was over anyways, but that starting over, I didn't want to do what I did the first 20 years, meaning I didn't want my identity and I didn't want to be serving the business. I want a business that serves me. So because my family standpoint, even my kids were little, we went to homeschool. You know what that means? They're at home.
Right.
Like I want to be around. I want to pop in when I want to pop in. If my wife calls me at noon, I can say I'll be there in 15 minutes, not in 5 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I wanted. So I really began to craft the life that way. Again, uncharted water, didn't really know, kind of had to figure it out. So that was really the challenge. And again, the challenge was greater for my wife and my kids than for me because I'm the one trying to do it. So I think I'm on track of something.
Right.
They're going, are we even what is going on?
Right.
So, but it really turned out well. It really, I got to say now my oldest is in the Marine Corps. He's 20, which is great. I've got I got 22 19s, 2 18s, and a 17-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Right now. So, and it's really great. They all work. They're all making great money. They're all, even my 17-year-old, and it's been a good thing. But yeah, it was really interesting. So I don't know if that answers the question. But.
Oh, it does. Most definitely.
Yeah.
So, as you're transitioning and you're looking into, as your children are growing, you make that decision. A lot of times as fathers, sometimes we want to make sure that we have food on the table and roof over our heads and things like that. So that type of drastic decision for, how did you take it? One, and then also, how did your wife take that as well? Because sometimes we lose track is that, because we're all partners in this whole thing called life.
Yeah, so my wife's born and raised in Chicago, okay? In the city. Okay, I'm outside the city in the burbs. Then I lived in the city. That's where we met and everything else. And okay, when we moved, I said we relocated.
Right.
Do you remember the old show Green Acres?
Yes.
Okay, I went all Green Acres on it. Okay, so we are out in the country. We got a neighbor a half mile one way, a half mile the other way, no one in front or in back, and it's like no one. And she's like, "What have we done?" She's like, "There's no." And for like, just to be honest, that first year and a half for her was not fun. We finally I had to talk like, listen, this is where we're at. We got to adapt. We got to do this. I know There's no friends. Like, she would drive to Chicago and stuff like it. We're an hour and a half away or whatever. And that kind of snapped her out of it. And if you ask her today, she goes, I'd never do it any different way.
Mm-hmm.
It was the greatest because our kids were just outside and playing all the time. And we had such an extraordinary time of that freedom. Town's 10 miles away, but we had a great church. We found a great church. We started doing that. And we really, really created community. We've been there for 15 years now. And it's been a kind of a one of a kind experience. I actually had a great blessing. I got to have my son, the Marine, on a podcast with me as guests. I had a host who interviewed me, but then heard about my son. Hey, can I get both you on? And it was so good. And I didn't talk much, which is, I know, unusual. But my son did a lot of talking, and just listening to his, how he grew up.
Right.
Like, yeah, I was there, but like the things that shaped him and he shared was so cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's because I lost everything. We couldn't have had that life. He would not be who he is. My kids would not be there if I didn't lose everything back in 08, 09.
Right.
I mean, God has a way of giving you a pivot. That was a hard one. That was more like a 180. It was, the things that happen in our lives, if we can take that moment and look back, just glance back and go, wow, that was, I remember I was talking about last night in Bible study. It's like that providence, that hand of God to cause, whether he caused or not, that happened, but to direct me and redirect me and give you this ability to then start and scale 2 more businesses, become a coach, write a book, write a best-selling book, helping all these business owners now create freedom, profit, and impact in their lives and their business. That's all because of failure.
Right.
It's like that's redemption, right?
Right.
That's taking the worst of the worst and making it into something amazing. So I have nothing but just praise for God on that. And just, again, I get to see my kids and I'm like, this is, if you would ask someone 25 years ago if I'd even be married, let alone have kids, they all lost money. Let me just say that. They all lost money on that bet.
And it's amazing. A lot of times when we're stuck in, or not say stuck, but when we're in some situation, we don't see the highlight of it. We don't see the silver lining of it. And a lot of times, like, again, afterwards, you get to look back and see that God's hand was in it all. But we don't always see that when we're in the midst of it. And likewise, Maurice was talking to one of our kids recently and just kind of reflecting back on life. And again, we had hard times as well, and we're like, hey, do you remember that? They're like, no, I thought we were just, the electricity went off. I thought we were just having, a party. Like, no, we didn't pay the bill. Something went wrong, So it was just, those fun times or those down times became fun times for them. They didn't see the worry upon us and all of that stuff. So it's really amazing how God works through all of those things and makes us stronger, makes us better. So I guess I want to know a little bit. You talked a little bit about your wife. You talked about your older son and how they have had a part in this. So I'm anxious to know, like, when you decided to shut everything down, like what did you say to your wife? Like when you came home?
Well, yeah, she kind of knew where it was going, obviously, right? She
Okay.
understands like things are not good. The big thing for me was part of that epiphany was I realized my kids, talking about our kids and when lights go out and things like that, they didn't care what I did for a living. They didn't care how many trucks I had. Okay. They didn't care where we lived. None of that matters to a 2, 3, and 4-year-old.
Right.
Okay. Like Maurice, you were saying, yeah, I'm a provider, I'm a protector, I'm the priest, right? I need to be these things in my family, but they rolled with it, because they're young, they don't know, but they roll with it. But I think the whole gist of it was they don't know, right? To them, it was a good time. Like, wow, we moved to the country. They don't remember a lot from there. They're pretty young, but like Dad dug us 85 feet of trench to play war in.
Oh,
2 foot
wow.
wide, 2 foot deep with a mountain. We had this. It did all that by hand. I did it all right. So, and they remember that stuff. They remember all the good times and me making them stand out there and freeze so we could relive the Battle of the Bulge and stuff like that in the winter. Go, oh, you want to play war? I'll show you what war is. And I take them on it. What's the matter? You
Here's
cold?
our
Yeah,
history
so
lesson for today.
That's right. That's right. So we are very hands-on that way, hands-on history. But that, I think that the big challenge, Kay, was bringing it together. And here's so I was what I call a CINO at the time. A CINO is a Christian in name only. Okay. I didn't know the Lord.
Right.
I was a Christian. Okay. And that's why I seldom use that term anymore, Christian. It's been so ambiguous now. It's not, when you say you're a believer, that's different.
Right.
So it took me a few years after we moved to go, what is this? What is this? What is this date people have? What is this born again thing? What is this? I don't even know what it was.
Right.
So I'm emailing my pastor, and my wife comes up. Speaking of my wife, she goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm emailing, Pastor Tim." And she's like, "About what?" I go, "Well, about being saved." She goes, "What about it?" I go, "Well, everyone's got this date and everything, and everyone's saying, what is that?" I go, "Do you got a date?" She goes, "Yeah, I got a date." Well, I don't have a date.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. And she looks at me, guys, and she goes, "I don't even know you." Because I played the game.
Right.
I played the Christian game. Right.
Wow.
So I'm like, so then that's what it is. How did I go to this big Christian church and they never mention this?
Wow.
How they never say, never an altar call, never you got to come to Christ, never what being saved, the whole thing, the whole basis of Christianity for how many years they never spoke about. But there was, 1,500 people in the seats, preaching popcorn sermons to them,
Yeah.
making everyone feel good, so I was, a little bummed out about that, but hey, all in God's time.
Right.
So it worked out, and that changed everything.
Right.
So it was a big deal.
So let me ask this then, because you're talking about, in some ways, letting go, because in order to follow, we have to let go of that. Hey, I'm a leader, I'm an administrator, I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and allow the Holy Spirit, Christ, God to take control over our situations. And more importantly, not just us as individuals, but us as, now family men or whatever that is, right? Whatever that vision is. So how important was that for you to, one, just let go? And what did you learn in that process of letting go, allowing, God to be the true head of the household?
Yeah, it's kind of like the rich young ruler, right? Oh, I've kept all those commandments. I've done this. Yeah, well, go sell everything and follow me. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. It leaves all sad, right? So, this was that. I let it all go, and I had to realize, like, again, looking back, I'm like, well, yes, I'm saved now, but I also look like God still has his hand in this, and we were talking about this last night, coincidentally, like sometimes you have to look at big chunks of your life. And then one thing shifts. Okay. Like I grew up as a Mormon. Okay. And at 16, 17, I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here.
Right.
Okay. This is not my thing. Didn't know why. And I went the way of the world until I was 42. Right. And did all that stuff. But that was the hand of God. He got me out of there. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it was, hey, you go from here to the perfect. I mean, it was a long road. I was the, I'm air quoting the good person, and not so good person at different times. But yeah, so what it became was the sense of responsibility changes. I feel when you're born again and you understand who you truly serve. Okay, I'm not serving me. I'm not serving this. I'm not serving money. Right. I understand who I'm serving. I'm doing all things as unto Christ. Right. So that's my thing. So now I have to be an example because I'm accountable to him. Right. So my wife now, she has to understand that I'm accountable to him. We both are. Right. So it's always about like the triangle. Right. So God's at the top. My wife's on the left. I'm on the right. As we grow closer to God, we go closer together.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And that's kind of how it looked. But it became, I didn't know this when we got married, that it's not just between her and I, it's a covenant between God.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that and from a biblical standpoint, that's not a small thing.
Right.
Right.
You know, so there's a different responsibility you have to
Mhm.
take, you know, with both your wife and your children
Mm-hmm.
to lead that family. Now, I'm a business person. I'm an entrepreneur, right?
Right.
I'm a trainer. I do that kind of stuff. But I had to put that in the perspective of how does that produce income and give us a livelihood,
Mm-hmm.
but I can still maintain that relationship with my family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not, I pop in and I'm tired at the end of the day and they got 3 hours of homework and no one ever talks.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Right.
that's where it kind of goes, right? So we tailored everything and started building it with that in mind. How do we make that work? So again, I think it really comes down to that sense of responsibility and duty,
Mhm.
you know, to honor the Lord in all things
Yeah.
and let my children see that and teach that to them. And really, that's what we homeschooled, was to give them that biblical worldview.
Mm-hmm.
How else are they going to, well, I won't say it's the only way to get it, but now I can infuse that in everything we
Everything.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's gratitude, it's thanking the Lord, it's going to him in good times and bad times. You know, you know what they say, there's only 2 times to praise the Lord, when things are good and when things are bad.
Mhm.
Right.
Those are the only 2 times. so, you know, we just learned that, and it's and that influence and that example more than the influence is which I think made the difference with all my kids.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, Richard, you know, I really appreciate you coming on. I mean, that was powerful. I don't think we could get any more powerful than that type of ending right there. You know, but Richard, you know, please let everyone know where they can find you and hear anything else that you have to say, and even some of your trainings and things like that. Where can they look you up?
You bet. Sharpenthespearcoaching.com. That's my website. Podcast is Sharpen the Spear Podcast. You can take a look at that. That's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. But yeah, you could drop me a line. You can download I've got a book on my website. You can download that, Freedom Fast Track, a bunch of stuff. So yeah, sharpenthespearcoaching.com is it. And yeah, I really appreciate the time you guys gave me today just to share a little bit. It's been great.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit,
it's
no
been
problem.
great.
But Richard, we got one more question though, Richard.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Bring it on.
I've been waiting patiently over here for this question. Just wanting to
Waiting
dig
for me to shut up.
No,
Waiting for me to
not at
shut
all.
up.
Please share all of this good stuff.
No,
It's
this
great
was going.
information.
Yeah, you want to answer this one.
You know, as I'm listening to your story and listening to all that you've shared with us and knowing your background, my question that I've been, you know, sitting here patiently to ask is, Richard, if you could sing a duet with anyone in the world, living or dead, who would you sing that duet with?
Do I really have to sing? Can I just hold their microphone?
You can
I
lip
just hold
sync.
their
You
microphone?
can lip sync, but who would that be?
I'd have to go with Tony Bennett. He's
Oh,
not
Okay.
with anymore,
yes.
but
Yeah.
Tony Bennett. Oh man, Shadow over Smile. Let's do that one. It was amazing.
Okay.
Wow.
Wonderful,
So, yeah.
wonderful. Nice,
But you sure you
nice.
want to sing a note or two? It wasn't just like ease out a little bit.
There's no ease in when it comes down to singing to me, Maurice. You don't want it. Trust me. I can maybe hum a little bit.
Hum a little bit. Yeah.
Give a little tapping on the leg or something.
Right,
A little
right.
drum or something, I don't know, but
Good,
yeah,
good.
trust me.
Tony
My
Bennett,
wife doesn't let me
Richard.
sing or whistle in the house.
Really?
Hey, it's make a joyful noise unto the Lord.
Right,
so
right.
it is noise. So
That it is. That it is. Yes.
I say that to Maurice all the time. It's make a joyful noise.
Right.
Yes.
So, I'd
Wonderful.
rather have the cymbals. Let me work the cymbals. If we're going to say biblical. Give me the lyre or the
Yes,
harp.
the
Right,
harp.
right.
Cymbal. Give me something.
I could praise another way.
There's many ways.
I got
Wonderful.
skills.
Right. You know, but I appreciate you answering that question though,
Yes.
Richard.
Yep.
Because it was burning inside of me. I don't know if you
Right.
could tell, but yes, I
Now
needed
you
to know.
I bet
Now
you
I know.
never had Tony Bennett as an answer for anyone, do you?
Not yet.
Not
no.
yet.
Mm-mm.
Not yet. Yes.
You won't, because I'm original.
Yes, there it is.
Right.
Exactly. Richard and Tony
Hey,
coming
right.
soon.
Yeah, that's it.
You're right. You know. So, but we thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you so much. We enjoyed having you.
Thanks for having me. It's
Sure.
been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. No
Thank you.
problem. And thank you for listening to the No Fruit Podcast. And we will talk to you a little later.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the No Fruit Podcast, where we bring you fruitful conversations, ripened wisdom, and love that's deeply rooted. We hope today's discussion left you feeling uplifted, encouraged, and ready to take on life's journey with purpose. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration in their day. You can catch up on past episodes, send us your thoughts, or learn more about us on social media. Until next time, stay rooted in love, and remember, every seed you plant today shapes the fruit of tomorrow. Take care, and we'll see you next time.